composing gloves here, and today we're going to be diving into God Mode. It is a distortion unit by Denise Audio, and I have it here on two things, and I'm going to play for you past the first drop, just a little bit past it, and I want you to see if you can spot the two things that have a plugin that will be called God Mode on it. Let's listen. All right, so we got a taste of what's going on down here. Now, if you guessed or if you intelligently heard the snare and the bass and you said those are the two things that have the God mode on it, you would be correct. Let's go ahead and dive in. Why is this plugin worth having? What's so cool about this one? There is something that's actually really, really cool about it. So this is what this has that's really cool is it's got the pull. And you might be going, what the heck is the pull? Well, the distortion will push it in and saturate a particular area of the spectrum that's defined by however we draw this curve, kind of like an EQ. And then what it does is it pulls it back so that it's not overly loud like it was before. So there's this push-pull kind of element to it. And this has tremendous implications. So, all right, so to demonstrate this, I've pulled up the snare and it's been soloed, and I just want to show you the amazingness of what push-pull can do tonally. So that's basically it being pushed into the saturation region and then being pulled out. Check it out if we remove this. Totally different sound. And of course, they give us control over being able to move this back and forth. So we can come forward or backwards and get the tone that we want. But what we could do is, let me just really quick do a transition. And then we can mix this into taste. I have it at 23%. So hopefully you can hear a lot more clearly now what is being added. So that is the coolest thing. That is the reason why. And this is actually a preset. If you come in here, it's the one called, it's like drum something or other, something with a bunch of drums. Complete drum overhaul. And I actually like this as a starting point a lot of the time. So most of my stuff is going to start with this. They've got some high pass, low pass going on. Something interesting is they give you the ability to pan the wet signal independently of the dry. That's a really nice feature that I just never really realized I was missing. And so that's really cool. We've got some additional filters and some makeup gain. So this one's got some makeup gain. You can control on the individual bands the Q factor. And so you can see we get really wide or not, the gain and the frequency. And up here, we've got a couple really cool things. We're able to split it to create a stereo image. And we're also able to go live. And what this does is turns on linear phase filters. Remember, linear phase filters can have a couple key problems. They can bring up pre-ringing. This is true of all linear phase filters. This isn't like just these ones. Pre-ringing, and they also require some latency in order to work that the way they do. And so if we turn it on, we might actually get a difference with this sound. Oh, that's a big one. And so with these, you're going to want to just test it out and see which one you like more. Linear phase is a fancy thing, so a lot of plugins are now including it. You don't need it a lot of the time. A lot of the time, you think you need it, you don't. Unless you start with it on, then in which case, you've built your sound kind of around that. It's going to matter a lot more, or you're going to hear it a lot more on drum sounds because they're very transient in nature. So the pre-ringing has a larger effect on them. So that is the linear phase. Down here, we've got a couple cool options. We've got some tape emulation, some warping, which is a kind of amplitude modulation. And it's a bit tougher to hear right there. There's a noticeable difference, but it's really noticeable if I turn the pull off. And then tape. And then we also have buzz. So you can kind of see these as just your different colors. You're able to randomize this curve if you want to. Maybe you're just running short on inspiration or looking to do something really crazy. You can try that out. And you're able to drive the tape with a separate side input, which is pretty dang handy. So the thing I really like about it, I've already said it, is the pull setting. So that's it on the snare. Let's go through just a couple other presets here. Now, not all of them have the makeup gain, so keep that in mind as you listen. So this is the preset I really like to start on. So a lot of just really handy dandy presets as well. I'm going to go back to the complete drum overhaul, and their names are also amusing. Now, if we come over here to the bass sound, there's a lot going on the bass sound. Okay, so there's a lot more than just the God mode, but the God mode is indeed a prime feature of what's happening. And this is just in general adds to the color. It also has that boost. So when I mixed it, I wanted to make sure that I accounted for that. And this sound goes through a high pass filters and additional things throughout the track. So if we actually come over here to the beginning and let's go ahead and bypass this. There it is on. And now if we take the pull off, check it out. This is the problem with a lot of distortions, by the way. When you turn them on, you've got to remember to turn stuff back down later, or it's just not going to blend as amazingly. And here, having it built in kind of like this is so great because you do get the tonal color and the warmth from it, but you don't get the outblownness of it, if that makes any sense. Let's go to the drop, hear it there. No pull. Let's go through a couple of presets. So yeah, a lot of just cool tones and textures in here. So yeah, that is God Mode by Denise Audio. If you have any questions about this, let me know. There will be a link down in the description in case you are curious of picking this up for yourself. Subscribe and have a blessed day.